is capable of taking and eroding the current structures of democracy and governance in Nigeria. I want to submit that I do align myself with the call to end police brutality. I also think that we have governance issues that need to be addressed. However, I think that as a responsible parliament, we need to get involved. We need to bring the real people that are behind these agitations and sit around the table and speak face to face to the issues that are burning. We need to make sure that this process is not hijacked by hoodlums. Otherwise, we will end up throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I think it is very critical that the real stakeholders are engaged. Moving forward, sir, I want to propose that we will continuously find ways to interact with them. We represent them. They are Nigerians. They expect us to, even if we were currently on recess, to quickly reconvene and by way of a resolution, ensure that we are addressing their concerns. They expect us to react. And I think this motion is timely. I think this is the best way to get the right people to talk to the leaders or those behind this protest, so that we can begin to unravel and actually get measurable solutions out there in public. I so submit, and I thank once again Honorable Sada for bringing this to the floor at this time. Thank you.
Honorable Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Toby Okechukwu, and I represent an area of Oji River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, I want to express my support regarding the prayers that have been canvassed in this motion on the need for us and for the executive to take concerted actions regarding the challenges of citizenship and the challenges our constituents go through. As at last week, Mr. Speaker, we referred to certain sections that would be retooled by this parliament of the Constitution to make people personally responsible and liable for the inauspicious actions or acts of brutality. I think in furtherance of that, and the president and the executive having committed to address some of the issues that have been raised, I think it is very important that timelines should be set so that citizens will know what to expect. It is no longer a time when we say, okay, we take actions, we will observe all your demands. There should be timelines. And the responsibility of Parliament, which the ad hoc committee will do, is to oversight the executive on the commitments they have made. And that is why I align myself with, the spirit and letter of the motion. But more importantly too, there have been efforts to baptize this NSAS. It is not difficult for it to suddenly be hijacked by hoodlums, whether it is planted or it is occasioned. But most of the time, when you start debating an issue or something comes up in Nigerian public, you'll find out that certain crimes are committed in certain sections of the country. We have been witnesses to 10 years of banditry and killings, particularly in the northeast and other sections of the country. When it is happening in your own side, other people think that it doesn't happen. Now you have young people from southern parts of the country exposed in Lagos, Enugu, Port Harcourt, and the rest. People stand, walk on the street, you get somebody's phone searched. Not occasioned by law, not occasioned by police training, not occasioned by any protocol within the police force. Those actions are not allowed. So what we see is a situation where certain prevailing situations exist. What we need as leaders is to think through. Sometimes it is very convenient for us to quote our founding fathers. We quote Nnamdi Azikiwe, we quote Obafemi Awolowo, we quote Ahmad Bello. Those people, as at the time they found solutions to the problems of the country, most of them or some of them were our ages. What is expected of leadership, both at the assembly and at the executive, is to think through what our problems are and make sure we find a national solution to them. If there are prevalent situations, there isn't any need baptizing them by section, by religion, or by any means necessary. It is a Nigerian solution that is necessary to deal with our problems. If as a parliament, we need to retool our laws to make sure it works better, we need to do that. But at the interim, the promissory notes, as the demands made by the NSAS has been, the president has given a promissory note, or the executive. What we need is to ask to give a timeline within which some of these demands will be met. So the president should ordinarily talk to us, talk to the citizens, to show understanding. And at the end of the day, he will say the various action plans to accomplishing some of these demands. So I think this motion is very germane, and there is need. So the point to make is that the president, in his address to the nation, will establish the way forward. We will listen to him, and based on that, the unfortunate passion and the passion with which some of these issues have been addressed will be understood. So I think there will be no need to rush to any ad hoc arrangement like SWAT, and some of these things are inauspicious. We need to address the issues as a nation, not seeing it from the point, from various sections or from various religions. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody that wants to speak against? Any against?
But just to add that we should have a minute's silence for those that lost their lives during this peaceful protest. And also to congratulate our democracy, because hitherto, before now, we would have seen government overreacting, but we've allowed the environment for people to protest. And Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate you for the speech you presented earlier. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Omoshela. Seconder to the amendment for a minute's silence. Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba. I represent the good people of Arujo Marikana Federal Constituency. I'm from Nasarawa State. I rise to second the amendment ably amended by my fellow colleague. I so second, sir.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Another amendment, Honorable Muraino? Okay.
The maker, our Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I am Honorable Dr. Ajibola Muraino. I represent Barakwa Central, Barakwa North Federal Constituency, and from Oyo State. Right Honorable Speaker, in line with your speech this morning, I think there should be a basis upon which we'll be able to arrive at the compensation which we are thinking of. In that regard, I want to suggest an amendment to these prayers. Urge the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, set up a judicial commission of inquiry to look into cases of police brutality, recommend punitive measures for erring police officers, and also recommend compensation for victims of police brutality. I think this will likely make for basis to act upon, and it will also show that we are ready to move near justice. And once we are moving near justice, people are likely to come before that panel, ventilate their views, rather than go into the streets. Thank you, sir.
The problem with the amendment is, one, I think judicial panels have already been set up to inquire into this thing, all the states, so that we don't duplicate whatever. Two, the House of Representatives, 2 weeks ago, we passed a resolution on that. We have an ad hoc committee that is going around to inquire into these things. But I agree with you that there must be a basis for measuring compensation. And I think we'll collate that. If we wait for the judicial panel of inquiry, we would have passed the budget before the results come out. So we'll find a way. I totally agree with you. There has to be how do we measure the compensation? The way you measure the compensation is, first of all, getting the list of victims. That's all. It's the victims that died that we want to compensate their families. So once we know the number of victims, we'll know what to apply. Thank you. Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Ben Carlo, I believe you have, we've passed personal explanation, but I think we can take, it's the only way we can take, we sent, okay, let's take this 1 minute silence first, yes, before we take Honorable Ben Carlo. 1 minute silence for those who have died as a result of police brutality. May the souls of our fallen heroes who have died as a result of police brutality in the last few years rest in perfect peace. Honorable colleagues, there was still also a motion, I announced the loss of one of our former colleagues, and I think this is a good time to honor his memory. We'll observe another minute silence. May his soul rest in peace. Honorable Ben, I think what you do, first of all, is to, because the best way you can come in is personal explanation. You were sent on an errand by the House, and you have a communique to present, I believe. So I think you move that we suspend our rules to allow you, we've passed personal explanation on the other paper, so to speak, so that we can go back to personal explanation. Or better still, why don't you come on that privilege? Yes, come on that privilege. There will be no need to suspend the rules. Yes.
Carlo. I represent the good people of Nigeria, starting from Ben, the federal constituency, and from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I rise under privilege to report progress on the assignment that was sent to carry out a few minutes ago. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that just about 1 hour ago, we were having our executive section when you received intelligence that there were some youths at the entrance of the National Assembly. You immediately, as a caring speaker, discussed with the Deputy Speaker and agreed that a delegate should be sent out immediately to interact with these youths. And I was called up in the company of the Chairman Air Force, the Chairman Navy, the Chairman Police, Deputy Chairman Defense, Deputy Chairman Banking and Currency, Deputy Chairman Public Petition, among others. We were made by the delegate from the Senate, Mr. Speaker, in the person of the Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate. And we had a little meeting before proceeding to meet those Nigerian youths who wanted to talk to their parliamentarians. Mr. Speaker, I wish to report that the two groups that we met were Association of Nigerian University Students and the Nigerian Youth Council. Mr. Speaker, these gentlemen behaved themselves in a dignified manner. Mr. Speaker, they were not violent. Mr. Speaker, they were peaceful. And their messages, they were clear, Mr. Speaker. The Nigerian university students, they were just asking for ASU to call off their strike and for them to go back to school. They were asking that we intervene through legislative mechanism to ensure that this budget that is before us is considered in a manner that will incorporate the challenges of their lecturers. Mr. Speaker, we listened to them very well and also responded, assuring them that the commitment of this House is to the effect that this budget will be considered having at the back of our mind the challenges of the students who need to go back to school. They were happy with the report that we gave to them. We also assured them that you had to pause the executive section to enable us to interact with them, showing that you care. Mr. Speaker, we also went ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Ben. The communique is received. You may lay it and we'll pass it on to the relevant committees for consideration. We seem to have a glitch with the microphones. They're looking at it in the basement. Honorable Magbila, I believe you have a matter. So they're fixing the problem. So go ahead and use your campaign voice.
Of urgent public importance on an issue regarding the very urgent need for this House to look into allegations of hardship caused on millions of Nigerians by allegedly unjustified, inhuman, and premeditated freezing of bank accounts in Nigeria by the Central Bank of Nigeria. I crave your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, that this matter be considered as urgent, and I also move that we suspend our relevant rules to allow me to take this matter immediately. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, I believe this motion actually came up 3-4 weeks ago, but we're just taking it down. This has nothing to do with the last 1 week protest. This is an old. Okay. Members of the public and companies complained about their bank accounts being frozen. It's been in the last couple of months. Okay. Is Honorable Nwokolo here, Chairman Banking?
No, he stepped out briefly. I think he has a health concern.
Okay, I wanted him to second this motion. Is Deputy Chairman Banking here? Okay. Press your. You want a second? Go ahead. We're still having problems with our system.
Speaker, I'm from the Power State, Niger. I rise to second the motion as moved by my honorable colleague, Honorable Magbela, PhD. I so second. Thank you.
Is Magbela what? Did you say PhD?
Be the first to extend an olive branch in the light of the circumstances in the country and the need for us to collectively address the issues of our nation, to apologize to you and the leadership of the House for any comments I might have made in regards to what was taken out of context as the leadership being lame duck. I want to unequivocally apologize and say that there is too much going on now for there to be a division within us, within our ranks. We need to pool our resources ourselves together to move and chart a new course for this nation. I want to put that on the record, Mr. Speaker, before I continue.
Thank you, Honorable Magbela. Let me say your apology is accepted. It's better late than never. The leadership has observed, quietly and magnanimously your comments on the air and in print against the leadership of this House on several occasions. But we have not joined issues with you. And we believe that with time, you will come to realize that we are all one, where elections have come and gone, and will continue to be one. And that is why we have that reminder behind my seat here, that it's one nation and we must join hands. So I believe your apology is genuine and we accept it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you also for clarifying what my colleague, Honorable Adodua, my colleague said. I am not PhD yet, but in due course, very soon. No, I did not accept that one. Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to raise a matter of urgent public importance on the allegations of unjustified, inhuman, allegedly illegal and premeditated freezing of bank accounts in Nigeria by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The House, sorry, let me just wear my glasses.
Okay, now you look more like PhD.
Yes. The House is concerned about the plethora of petitions and save our soul appeals from Nigerian citizens across the country in recent times about the untold hardship and poverty they are experiencing from extended freezing of their personal, corporate, and other accounts by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Reports of the current unprecedented freezing of over 5,000 bank accounts in Nigeria by the CBN and the allegations of injustice, illegality, victimization, and prejudice by the CBN against innocent Nigerians in the freezing of their accounts. The burgeoning number of accounts being frozen by CBN in Nigeria appears to be taking a huge toll on the nation's economy and livelihood of millions of Nigerians, and underscores the seeming flagrant abuse of this power by the CBN when compared to the central banks, treasuries, and federal reserves of other climes. The House is worried about innumerable allegations from affected Nigerians that the CBN, in its claim of exercising the CBN governor's powers to freeze bank accounts under Section 60B of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, BOFIA, 2004, incessantly violates Nigerians' fundamental human right to fair hearing and presumption of innocence until proven guilty, as enshrined in Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of as amended.
Business and rules.
When it freezes accounts arbitrarily for extended periods without the knowledge of the account holder, the provision of an opportunity for the account holder to provide an explanation or referral of the matter to an appropriate regulatory authority for proper investigation as required in the related section of the Act. Although this section of the Act does not expressly indicate the requirement for an opportunity for fair hearing for the account holder, Section 1, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution is explicitly clear about the supremacy of the Constitution over any other subsisting law and presupposes the CBN should be aware of its obligation to observe constitutional provisions in the exercise of any powers under any law. The House is also worried about the preponderance of allegations of contraventions or provisions of the law by the CBN in freezing accounts without obtaining a valid court order, obtaining a court order after the fact when the account holder raises an alarm in this regard, freezing of accounts that are unconnected to the account suspected of involvement in a crime, and the inhuman and insensitive application for ex parte orders to freeze accounts for up to 6 months, 180 days, without considering the hardship this action might bring upon innocent Nigerians involved in legitimate transactions and who depend on the funds in these accounts for their remuneration, business transactions, and daily sustenance. The indefinite freezing of accounts without referral to appropriate regulatory authorities for investigation, without renewal of the initial court order authorizing the freeze, even after the investigations have been concluded, is another issue that has been highlighted as part of the allegations. These actions, if confirmed, give credence to the allegations that the CBN is complicit or allegedly complicit in the pursuance of political and personal vendettas against innocent Nigerians without just cause. The House notes the contradiction of Section 60B of the BOFIA 2004 Act with provisions of subsisting legislation like Section 6, 1D and 2 of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011, which in the first instance expressly provides for fair hearing for the account holder before reporting the matter to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for further action if necessary, including putting a restriction on the account in line with the already existing statutory powers of the EFCC. Section 16 of Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit Act 2018 limits the power of the director to only placing an account under surveillance. Section 43 of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission Act 2000 empowers the Commission's chairman, after obtaining a court order in this regard, to direct the receipt and inspection of all information related to any bank account under investigation. And Section 34 of the EFCC Act, which is the original legislation that authorizes the freezing of any account in Nigeria before the advent of Section 60B of BOFIA. The House also notes that while the EFCC, ICPC, and NFIU, by virtue of their primary statutory functions, are required to be equipped with requisite intelligence resources to carry out investigations into suspicions of financial impropriety, only the EFCC is empowered to freeze bank accounts after obtaining the valid court order, which is more in consonance with the modus operandi in other crimes. The primary statutory function of the CBN, as enshrined in the CBN Act, is not the investigation of suspicions of financial impropriety, and hence it is obviously not equipped adequately with intelligence resources to do so, and emphasizes the expedience of the National Assembly to revisit the provisions of Section 60B of BOFIA 2004, and this is why probably this section was conspicuously omitted from the current proposal for the amendment of BOFIA that is before the National Assembly. The circumstances surrounding the original inclusion of Section 60B is another issue that has come up, as this section was omitted from the laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and was brought in afterwards as an appendix. Finally, the House is concerned about the plethora of impending litigations against the CBN, which every Nigerian constitutionally has the right to institute, but that will distract the CBN from its primary statutory functions and unnecessarily expend monumental taxpayers' fund for the acquisition of legal representation by the CBN, which should ordinarily not have been expended, but for the indiscretion, if found to be correct, of its employees. The House finally resolves to ask the CBN to commence a review of all currently frozen accounts in Nigeria and to, after 1 week, remove the freeze orders on accounts frozen under the following clear violations of the provisions of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended and Section 60B of BOFIA 2004. And these violations include accounts that were frozen before a valid court order was obtained, accounts frozen without obtaining a court order from the required court of competent jurisdiction, accounts frozen without providing the opportunity for fair hearing to the account holder, accounts frozen but till date have not been referred to the Nigeria Police Force, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, or any other appropriate regulatory authority for investigation as is provided for in the Act, accounts that are frozen that are unconnected to the accounts suspected for involvement in the commission of the crime, accounts remaining frozen after court-authorized period of freeze has elapsed without obtaining a fresh order from a court of competent jurisdiction, accounts remaining frozen even after concluded investigation has not indicted the account holder, and accounts frozen without documentary proof of petition or reason for suspicion of involvement in the commission of a crime. The House also resolves to mandate the House Committee on Banking and Currency to immediately invite all relevant and affected stakeholders to a public investigation of circumstances surrounding the freezing of all accounts currently frozen by the CBN in Nigeria, with a view to identifying any cases of contraventions of statutory provisions by the CBN in the freezing of accounts, any verifiable cases of victimization or vendetta against account holders by the CBN in the freezing of their accounts, to identify provisions of the Subsisting Enabling Act that might require immediate amendment considering the tendency for abuse by the CBN, ambiguity of related causes, contradictions with provisions of other subsisting legislation, jurisprudence, or global best practice, and controversies surrounding the addition of related section of the Act after amended version of the Act had been published in the Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. And also mandate the committee, where appropriate, to recommend sanctions against erring staff of the CBN, especially where these allegations have been confirmed, and considering the importance of the administration of this portion of the Act by the CBN governor. The committee will be required to submit a formal report to the House in 4 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. That was a very long motion. So are you saying that the freezing of accounts that the CBN breached laid down statutory laws? Is that what your point?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Really?
Yes. There are confirmed petitions that have been brought to our notice in that regard.
Okay. So we'll look into that. Any seconder? Any seconder? Honorable Henry.
Second this very important motion, ably moved by Mark Miller, PhD to be. I so second.
Okay, very comprehensive. So those in support, please say aye. Those against the motion, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, we don't have any nominees on the Constitutional Review Committee for Bayelsa, Niger, and Nasarawa. Bayelsa, Niger, and Nasarawa. It appears from the records. So please see the clerk or the deputy speaker, who will see the clerk, or whichever way. But for official records, please send the names of your nominees, Bayelsa, Niger, and Nasarawa. Also, please, all chairmen, deputy chairmen, or even members, please see the chairman appropriation on the timelines for delivery, the different timelines in terms of the budget process. Everything needs to be rounded up by December 3rd, but the timeline has been drawn, which I expect that he'll pass on to you. But if you don't have it, please see the chairman appropriation. I believe there's an announcement Yes, the Northern Caucus will be meeting today. Northern Caucus will be meeting today after sitting by 4 p.m. Room 034, House of Reps. Signed, Honorable Musa Serikiada, Chairman, Northern Caucus. Yes, I believe these states they had submitted, but there must be some kind of secretarial error. The names have been both Nasarawa, Niger, and Bayelsa. They submitted their names way long ago, but let's correct whatever error there is. Honorable colleagues, I leave you in the safe hands of the Deputy Speaker.
Respected colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of 31 bills. I now invite the clerk to read their short titles. And you are aware we are guided by our rules in the standing order. In our rules, we are expected to take only 2 points of order.
Sir, please pardon me, sir. It is not when
Well, I want you to be guided that, excuse me, please be guided. And my guidance for you is to observe and respect our House Standing Order, the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria allows us to regulate ourselves. And by that, we have already prescribed what should happen in our order paper, and we have done that and was passed that. Please kindly take a seat. I say, please kindly take a seat. Can you read it? Can you read it? I will not allow you to speak.
So rule.
You are free to do what you want to do, but I'm guided by our certain rules. I'm guided by the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you. Clerk. Flatter, you are the custodian of our rules, so don't join issues with anybody. Please.
Mohammed, you can go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2020, first reading. Nigerian Citizens Moral Accountability Bill 2020, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2020, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2020, first reading. National Human Rights Commission Repeal and Enactment Bill 2020, first reading. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2020, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2020, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2020, first reading. Banker Convention Bill 2020, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2020, first reading. Occupational Safety and Health Association Charter Bill 2020, first reading. Federal Medical Center in Laorogun, Establishment Bill 2020, first reading. Indian Hemp Act Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. National Transport Commission Bill 2020, first reading. Federal Medical Center Rano, Establishment Bill 2020, first reading. Lagos Port Operations Special Provisions Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. Nigerian Ports Authority Act Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. Chartered Institute of Power Engineers of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2020, first reading. National Agricultural Loan Facility Management Commission Bill 2020, first reading. Nigeria Police Trust Fund Establishment Act Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. Money Laundering Prohibition Act Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. Federal Medical Center Zuru Establishment Bill 2020, first reading. Federal College of Education Tudun Wada Dan Kadai Establishment Bill 2020, first reading. Legal Practitioners Bill 2020, first reading. Extradition Treaty Bill 2020, first reading. Nigerian Shippers Council Act Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. Nigerian Maritime Labor Act Amendment Bill 2020, first reading. National Security Regulatory Management Commission Bill 2020, first reading. Nigerian Army University Bill Establishment Bill 2020, first reading.
Respected colleagues, the second business of the day is presentation of two reports of the Committee on Reformatory Institutions, standing in the name of Honorable Anayo Edwin. Honorable Anayo is invited to present the reports.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. My name is Honorable Anayo Edwin. I represent Azan North Ishelu Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Ebonyi State. Mr. Speaker, I'm here to lay two reports. One is that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Reformatory Institutions on the need to investigate the Nigerian Correctional Services. The second one is that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Reformatory Institutions on the need to relocate the Correctional Center, Medium Security Prison, Taraba State, to a less congested area. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Jai.
Honorable Ahmed Jaha Babao is my name. Chibok Dambo Goza Federal Constituency is where I represent. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my honorable colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable, now you go ahead and lay your report. Respected colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion on urgent need to address the impact of recent ravaging flood disaster in parts of Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable Isa Shaba Ibrahim and 359 honorable members. Honorable Ibrahim is invited to move the motion.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My name is Shaba Ibrahim. I represent Lokoja Kogi Federal Constituency. Your Excellency, I'm from Kogi State. Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, this is a motion that seeks to address the need, urgent need of the impact of the recent flood disaster that has ravaged most parts of this country. Your Excellency, before I proceed, assured that this House has the requisite bias to regulate the course of its own proceedings. May I ask that because of the rather lengthy nature of the motion itself, the peculiarity of the fact that all the honorable members of this House are co-sponsors of this motion, to allow me regulate this by abridging the content of the motion as I may deem fit in the circumstances of this case. Your Excellency, this House notes that the flood in the most common disaster in Nigeria, as several communities in the country increasingly suffer from annual. Yes, let me just take one introduction and I'm done. Your Excellency, the House should resolve as follows. One, sorry, it's a fairly lengthy motion, so let me just cut it short. We should observe, sir, a minute silence in honor of all those who lost their lives in the devastating floods across the country and commiserate with their families and communities. Urge, sir, the National Emergency Management Agency, that is NEMA, to immediately intervene and provide relief materials and support to all the affected communities across the country, as ably captured by the motion. 3, also urge the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to ensure that all displaced families and communities are rehabilitated and supported to resuscitate their livelihood. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, to mandate the Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness to ensure implementation. I thank you very much for this opportunity, sir. I move in terms of my motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? We are all co-sponsors, but it has been registered officially. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Dede Godwin Eluelu, and I represent the good people of Anocho Shmili, Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. In seconding the motion, Mr. Speaker, I feel that since the 360 members, hold on please, 360 members sponsored this motion as it relates to the flood, the prayer did not include that the committee should take collation of where those floods took place so that NEMA will be able to affect every constituency. Is not here. So the fifth prayer should be that the committee on NEMA should collect data of places of all the exposure from all our federal constituencies so as to enable. I've seconded that I'm bringing up. So that is my prayer to the motion that I've seconded.
The amendment.
I think the leader wants us to fast track, so he has seconded the motion and he has moved another amendment to that we should include collation of data. Yes, spokesman of the House. Barrett.
Thank you. I rise to second the amendment as moved by the minority leader of the House, that the capturing of the various federal constituencies be made as part of the prayers of this motion to enable it, go universally across all the members who have shown interest with regards to this motion. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. That's have it. Another amendment from Honorable Onyema Chukuka.
No, let's come in. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an amendment which I've already submitted to you, but I wanted to raise a little issue in line with what Honorable Ndidi Elumelu, the minority leader, said. Sir, we all submitted motions concerning flood to the Chairman Rules and Business. I was in the village last week. The houses there are underwater. I'm from Anambra State. They are underwater. Women from Obaru, women and children are underwater. There, eating. If you see the pictures, you will cry. Anambra East and West, Oyi local government, parts of Onitsha North, parts of Idemilia, which one Ruchidoka is here. But those places are not captured. If you're going to painstakingly write in this constituency, this place, that place, then you should capture it. That's one. Two, the case of flood, we were here last session. Every year you have this same motion, which is why I'm happy that everything was consolidated. It's in the amendment that I'm moving, sir. No, the amendment, sir, that's what I wanted to say about the dredging of the Niger. That if you continuous dredging of the Niger, that's why I put it in the amendment. And those are continuous dredging, building embankments, and also coming to the health issues. That was not captured too. And then I said, the last part of my amendment is that the NEMA and Ministry of Agri, if they are going to intervene, should liaise with members that are here, the member representing that particular constituency. Because I went down, I know what I saw. You will not come from Abuja and tell me what I saw, but I know what I saw. I can tell you where and where to go to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's my amendment, please. If you read it out, you see it.
Konda, Honorable Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Toby Okechukwu, representing an area of Bojiriba Federal Constituency. I stand to second the amendment moved by Honorable Onyema regarding continuous and maintenance dredging of the River Niger, the establishment of a shoreline, and then the capturing of every community that has been affected by the flood. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Amendment from Honorable Kingsley Chinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Kingsley Chinda. I represent Toby Akpo Federal Constituency. I'm an Ikwere man from River State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I have two amendments to prayers 2 and 4. To amend prayer 2 by adding to the last paragraph immediately after Andoni local government area the following. Mr. Speaker, I've written them out. Elele Wanrumo Krosia, Neka, Woji, Oginiba, Uzoba, Choba, Rume, Merupoku, all in Obiapo local government area. And to amend prayer 4 by adding and committee on legislative compliance immediately after disaster preparedness to read mandate the committee on emergency and disaster preparedness and committee on legislative compliance to ensure implementation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Those in favor of the amendments, any seconder? Sorry. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm Tajuddin Adekunle Obasa, representing Ojofera Constituency from Lagos State. I arise to second the amendment as heavily moved by Honorable Chinda. I so second. Thank you.
Honorable Adar.
The movers of this supposed to be motion, when I was asked to step down my matter of urgent public importance before it came today. I read the motion read here. It did not capture the concerns of my constituency as I had wanted to present it during the time I wanted to raise matter of urgent public importance. But however, having that everybody is concerned and everybody has been affected in one way or the other, I just want to make some amendments. Urge the Ministry of Water Resources, Environment and Ecology to take necessary measures to avert the flood by desilting dams, clearance of rivers and waterways, issuance of early notice to all the communities along the waterways by the National Meteorological Agency early enough before the rains fall or during the rain season. This is necessary because most of the time, it is after the flooding have started, then measures are taken, and by then it is too late to contain the effect. But since the meteorological agency could be aware of the level of rain that are expected in a particular rainy season, then they would be able to tell the public that this year the level of water is going to be this and that level. As such, communities living within the river banks and living within all other waterways should either leave that place before so and so time. I so move, Mr. Speaker, and urge everybody to support this amendment. Thank you.
Seconder to this amendment. Seconder. Yes, Honorable Chuka.
Okay, sorry. I rise to second the amendment ably moved by Honorable Sakin Ada, my chairman. I so move, sir.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Could be the last amendment. Thank you, sir.
Once again, Henry Wauba, speaking from Bitoli Kedu Federal Constituency, Imo State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, it has been reported lately in different fora that as a result of this flooding in Nigeria this year, Nigeria will witness a food shortage next year. And because this House works by resolutions, I think it is critical that we use this budgeting season to secure a resolution that will mandate the committees on agriculture and appropriation to capture for food security in the 2021 appropriation bill that is before us. Once again, because of the flood in Nigeria, it has been reported in various fora that Nigeria will be experiencing severe food shortage next year. Therefore, this amendment is to mandate the Committee on Agriculture and Appropriation to provide for adequate provision in the 2021 budget that is before us to secure our food stability next year. I so move.
Seconder. Honorable Adam.
The motion ably moved by Honorable Nwajiba. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Respected colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion on need to avert the cut-off of the Shagbama Ikoromu Road standing in the name of Honorable Frederick Agbedi. Honorable Agbedi is invited to move the motion.
Yes, it is. Take this one.
So you're given you
Is this one working? Okay. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Agbedi Yejemine Frederick is my name. I represent Sagbama Kremo Federal Constituency. Izonkeme, I'm from Bayelsa State. Need to avert the cut-off of the Sagbama Kremo Road. The House notes that the Sagbama Kremo Road is one of the most important federal roads in Bayelsa State and connects most of the communities in Bayelsa West Federal Constituency. Also notes that the road was constructed in 1970, in the 70s, starting from Sagbama Junction of the East-West Road, passes through Sagbama to Rua, Bedabri, and Galabri communities to Kremo local government area and terminates at the seaside of Amatu-1 community. Informed that due to the recent flood and peculiar terrain of the area, the Sagbama axis of the road has started caving in, resulting in a huge sinkhole, hence making it very dangerous for commuters. worried that Sagbama Ikrimo Federal Constituency is likely to be cut off from other parts of Bayelsa State and the country if urgent steps are not taken to address the situation. Aware that the immediate solution to remedy the situation is to construct 2 span bridges, each at the 2 damaged portions requiring intervention before the next rains. Resolves to 1, commend the immediate past government and the present government for alleviating the plight of commuters last year and this year by making the road slightly passable. 2, also commend the present government of Bayelsa State for directing the State Ministry of Works to alleviate the plight of commuters by making the road passable this rainy season. Urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to provide temporary intervention to enable commuters use the road. 4, also urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to construct 2 short bridges of 2 span lengths, each at the damaged point before the next rains. Request the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to include the repair of the said section of the road in the 2021 budget estimate before the National Assembly. Mandate the Committee on Works to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues.
Seconder, Honorable Benny.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Benny La. I stand to represent the people of Lantern North and South. May I second this motion as ably moved by my dear colleague, Honorable Fred Adbaji.
Respectful colleagues, this is an infrastructure-related motion, so I just put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. That's have it. Respectful colleagues, the third order of the day is a motion on urgent need to investigate the abandonment of construction of the Owerri-Aba Road and bridge of Ulako in Owerri, North Imo State by Arab contractors standing now on Honorable Ikenna Onyechiri. Honorable Onyechiri is invited to put the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Engineer Ikenna Elezaya. I represent the good people of Owerri Municipal, Owerri North, and Owerri West Federal Constituency of Imo State. I am from Imo. My motion: the urgent need to investigate the abandonment of the construction of Owerri-Aba Road and Bridge at Olapo in Owerri North, Imo State, by Arab Contractors Nigeria Limited. The House notes that the federal government awarded a contract for the construction of Owerri-Aba Express Road and the link bridge at Olapo in Owerri North, considering the economic importance of the road as an exit point from Owerri to Aba in Imo State, respectively. Also note that the road is in a deplorable condition and adversely affecting the movement of commuters, mostly workers, students, and visitors to the airports, Aba and Owerri City. Aware, in spite of the importance of the road, the contractor handling the road construction have abandoned the road, leaving the road worse and creating further hardship for motorists plying the road. Worried that the contractor, Arab Contractor Nigeria Limited, has excavated the road, leaving a very narrow path, thereby making a death trap for motorists and residents of the community who have lost loved ones due to avoidable accidents on the road, especially at night. Aware that on numerous occasions, heavy-duty vehicles
have been trapped on the road, making it impossible for other users to gain access to the airport, Owerri, and Aba in Imo State. Results: urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to direct Arab contractors to resume work in order to complete the bridge. 2, mandate the Committee on Works to, as a matter of urgency, investigate the abandonment of the road by Arab Contractors Nigeria Limited and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. The Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
Respected colleagues, I don't know whether we listen to our colleague very much. If you are investigating and then you are directing them to go and commence work, could we be doing justice to the body of the motion? So I don't know, so that we'll be guided. You cannot be directing them or urging them to go back to work and again at the same time investigating them. I suppose so. You should amend. Thank you.
My amendment is here for them to return back to site. 1, and that is why we are urging the second resolve to mandate the works, the Committee on Works, as a matter of urgency, not to investigate, to compel them. I remove that to investigate there, Mr. Speaker. To compel Arab contractors to go back to sites. I'm removing the second resolve. I'm removing it, but Mr. Speaker, I'm changing that investigate. I'm changing that to investigate to urge them to move back to sites. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Engineer, you are amending your motion yourself. Thank you. It's Conda. Yes, sir. Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. Let's have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against say nay. Let's have it. Respected colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the commencement of debate on the general principle for bill for an act to repeal the Insurance Act Cap 117 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Insurance Bill 2020 to provide for a comprehensive legal framework for insurance business in Nigeria and for related matters, standing now on Darlington, Wokocha, and 22 others. Honourable members will call that the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 14 July 2020. I now invite Honourable Wokocha to move that the bill be read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and dear colleagues. My name is Darlington Wokocha. I speak for Isialangwa North, Isialangwa South Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I hereby move for a bill for an act to repeal the Insurance Act Cap I-17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Insurance Bill 2020 to provide for a comprehensive legal framework for insurance business in Nigeria and for related matters, HB 967. I therefore move for the second reading of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Honorable Mikey.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm Abubakar Maki Eleman. I represent Malamudori Kaugama Federal Constituency. I'm from Jigawa State. I stand to move the second reading of the bill, heavily moved by Honorable Wellington. I so move.
Wellington, give us a synopsis of the bill or lead the debate.
And dear colleagues, I remain Darlington Culture. I speak for Isialangwa North, Isialangwa South Federal Constituency, and from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I thank you for according me the privilege to lead the debate on the general principle of this important bill that seek to repeal the Insurance Act Cap I-17 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Insurance Bill 2020 to provide for a comprehensive legal framework for insurance business in Nigeria. This bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on the Tuesday, July 14, 2020. The objective of the bill is to regulate the insurance industry in order to develop insurance sector, to protect interest policy holders and prospective policy holders. Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, the major anticipated advantages of the reform initiatives include the ongoing recapitalization process of the insurance industry will be anchored on a modern and robust insurance regulatory framework that meets current international best practice. This particularly overcomes the present challenges of implementing the recapitalization exercise within the framework of Obsolete Insurance Act 2004 with attendant huge financial burden on the industry that defeats the laudable objective of recapitalization exercise. Appreciable expansion in the total contribution by insurance sector to country's GDP, estimated at over 2 trillion annually. Creation of over 1 million new jobs, directly and indirectly, and bringing efficiency and effectiveness in insurance provision, in implementing risk-based supervision, and establishing a decentralized insurance regulatory academy. Introducing a new effective legal framework with sanction regime that meets local realities and international best practices. Establishment of a robust framework for enforcement of compulsory insurances. Reforming motor vehicle third-party insurance business by providing that all motor vehicles, third-party insurance policies shall be procured through designated portals that meet international best practices as well. Reforming marine insurance business in Nigeria by providing that all marine insurance policies shall be procured through designated portals that meet international best practice. Establishment of regulator-funded insurance regulatory academy for training and retraining of NICOM inspectors and other relevant staff. Increasing local retention of oil and gas insurance business through enforcement of insurance provisions in the National Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act. Reforming insurance supervision by implementing a risk-based approach as against current compliance approach. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, my dear respected colleagues, in view of efforts currently being made by the Ninth House of Representatives in collaboration with the executive to diversify the Nigerian economy, the need for robust and contemporary regulatory framework for insurance business in Nigeria cannot be overemphasized. Hence, the need to enact the Insurance Bill 2020. I therefore urge my respected colleagues to support that the bill be read the second time and refer to the relevant committee for further legislative action. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Respected colleagues, I believe this is a very straightforward bill. With their leave, can I put a question? Those in favor of the motion that the bill be second, say aye. Those against say nay. That's have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for now to repeal the Insurance Act, Chapter I-17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Insurance Bill 2020 to provide for a comprehensive legal framework for insurance business in Nigeria and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Insurance and Current Matters. Esteemed colleagues, the fifth order of the day is commencement of a debate on the general principle of Bill for an Act to amend the National Health Insurance Act 2014 to define basic minimum package of health services, provide more mechanism for realizing the objective of principal act of in providing free health care services in Nigeria without prejudice to the requirements of payments of contributory scheme stipulated in the National Health Insurance Scheme Act and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Mohammed Shamsuddin Bello, Honorable Mohammed, all members recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 12 February 2020. I now invite Honorable Bello to move that the bill be read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Shamsuddin Bello. I represent the good people of Sumaila Take Federal Constituency. I am from Kano State. I rise to present the second reading of a bill on the argument to amend the National Health Act number 8 of 2014 to define the basic minimum package of health services and facilitate provision of free health services to select Nigerians without prejudice to the requirement of payment to the contributory scheme stipulated under the National Health Insurance Scheme Act and for related matters. I so move.
Ernest Konda. Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Musa Umar Garu, member representing Gorzakawa Federal Constituency from Kano State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Mohammed Bello Dambozo, Honorable Mohammed Bello Dambozo. I so second.
Honorable Mohammed, can you lead the debate in 2 minutes?
It's blinking. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am delighted for this opportunity to lead a debate on the general principles of the National Health Act to define the basic minimum package and services for the provision of free health services to select Nigerians without prejudice to the requirements of contribution under the National Health Insurance Scheme. This bill was read for the first time on Wednesday, 12th of February, 2020. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, it may be recalled that the National Health Insurance Scheme was established to facilitate the provision of subsidized health packages to Nigerians, irrespective of official status, gender, or geographical location. Unfortunately, a greater population of Nigerians, especially those in the rural areas or outside of government, could not benefit from this scheme due to one technicality or the other. Considering its importance, Mr. Speaker, healthcare is a matter of national security and a means to enhance human capital. Secondly, a significant population of Nigerians, especially rural dwellers, unemployed, and the aged are in dire need of assistance of the provision of health services, while the health challenges, maternal child mortality, malaria, and a variety of infectious diseases are making life difficult for many. This bill is proposed to amend the principal legislation that regulates the provision of health services to facilitate the provision of free health services to select Nigerians in desperate need to meet the primary purpose of government under Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution, which is declared as the security and the welfare of the people. Objectives of the bill seeks to amend the National Health Act to expand its scope to facilitate the provision of free health services to select Nigerians in deserving need, facilitate the realization of the primary purpose of government, assist the Honorable House in discharging its contract with Nigerians through inclusive lawmaking that accommodates the interests of vulnerable Nigerians in desperate need of health services, facilitate the realization of dividends of democracy through effective lawmaking as representatives of the people. The bill is structured in 5 clauses, Mr. Speaker. Clause 1 amends the Principal Act, which is the National Health Act, sub number 8 of 2014. Clause 2 amends Section 3 of the Principal Act by substituting subsection 1 for new subsection 1, which provides, without prejudice to the requirement of payments to the contributory scheme stipulated in the National Health Insurance Scheme Act, the minister may, in consultation with the National Council on Health, provide conditions where select Nigerians shall be entitled to free health care. Clause 3 amends Section 11, subsection 3E of the Principal Act by substituting the existing paragraph E for new paragraph E and F, which provide 5% of allocated to the National Insurance Scheme, in addition to the provisions under paragraph 1, which gives 1%. Sir, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am grateful once again for this unique opportunity and particularly for your patience in listening to my lead debate. I sincerely appreciate and solicit your support to facilitate the expeditious consideration and passage of this important bill into law. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, I believe this is a very straightforward bill too. So I therefore put the question. Those in favor of the bill, be raise second and say aye. Those can say nay.
Health services provide more mechanism for realizing the objectives of the Principal Act in providing free health care services to all Nigerians without prejudice to the requirement of payment of the contributory schemes stipulated in the National Health Insurance Scheme Act and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Health Services. Respected colleagues, the sixth order of the day is a commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the National Assembly Library Trust Fund for the purpose of research, provision of library equipment and related matters, enhance the research of legislators and staff of National Assembly, and for related matters standing in Honorable Gaza Jonathan, Honorable Stanley Adedeji, and Honorable Hayden Wabwa. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 21st July 2020, and now invite Honorable Adedeji to move that the bill be read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I rise to present a bill for an act to establish the National Assembly Trust Fund for the purpose of research and provision of library equipment and relative facilities, enhance the research of legislators and staff of the National Assembly for the related matters. I hereby move that this bill be read for the second time.
Honorable Ready. Second.
the Keduru Federal Constituency, Imo State. I rise to second the motion that the bill be read a second time. I so second.
Mr. Stanley, in 2 minutes, lead the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You graciously, in this night assembly of the House of Representatives, in a resolution, created the Committee on the Legislative Library, Research, and Documentation with the aim of deepening the intellectual and the knowledge base of the legislature. One of the primary objectives of this committee is to establish a world-class via super information knowledge base that will serve as a repository for all resource material within the legislature. In a bid to realize this vision, it has become pertinent to create and establish a National Assembly Legislative Library Trust Fund that will be governed by the Legislative Library Trust Fund Board, which will function as a federal governing board existing for the sole purpose of acquiring funds and grants generously donated to the National Assembly Legislative Library Research and Resource Center by the National Assembly and interested parties or supporters, such as well-meaning individuals, the public, and the private sector, as well as international donor organizations and countries. The board will also have the authority to invest, reinvest, and retain investment of such donations on behalf and benefit of the Legislative Library Research and Resource Center. Objective in continuation, the Library Board will also have the authority to invest, reinvest, retain investment of such donations on behalf and to benefit of the Legislative Library Research and Resource Center. All grants, donations made to the Library Trust Funds, as well as dividends of all investments obtained on its behalf, will be deposited with the Treasury of the National Assembly Library, which will be a trust fund account at the Central Bank of Nigeria. These funds will be disbursed by the library, Legislative Library librarian, contributing to the managing of purchases and maintenance which the library might not be able to acquire from its allocation fund alone. From the acquisition of rare books, books of specialized interest and materials, to the maintenance and the care of library materials, archives, and collections. Also, the establishment and maintenance of the specific fields within the library. For example, mining, agriculture, economics, finance, etc., which may be donated by the federal representative of such respective establishment. Synopsis, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, this is a simple bill and its importance cannot be overemphasized. The bill is set to establish the Legislative Library Trust Fund Board, just as it's applicable to other renowned libraries in other climes of the world. The Library of the Congress in the United States, to be specific. The board shall consist of the chairman, the vice chairman of the Committee of the Library, Research, Documentation, and the National Assembly Librarian, and the Secretary to the Treasury. Also among its members will be the notable well-meaning Nigerians, captains of industries and philanthropists, who may be nominated by the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives in consultation with the principal officers of the Senate and the House of Representatives. The board may also consist of former Senate President, Speakers of the National Assembly, and who are not in active service.
Thank you, Honorable Stanley.
Yes, sir. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to conclude by stating that it's never late to do the right thing as we work together to put together a legislative and a nation that is full of super information highway. I so present for this bill to be read for the second time.
Thank you. Colleagues, I want to believe this is a very solid bill. He has put in everything straight to us, and it is for our own interest in enhancing our capacity. Those in favor of the bill, be raise second and say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for now to establish the National Assembly Library Trust Fund for the purpose of research, provision of library equipment and related facilities, enhance the research of legislators and staff of the National Assembly, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Legislative Library Research and Documentation. Respected colleagues, I now invite the most powerful man in the House, the leader of the House, to move that the House be adjourned. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, you know that pronouncement can be contested by Honorable Monguno. So you would have put it on court so that you give him the leverage to contest at any moment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. I rise as leader of this great House to at this moment move that this House do adjourn to the 24th of November 2020, please. I believe committee members, committee chairmen and members are aware of the fact that the budget has been committed to the relevant committees to start work. So I believe between now and then, committee leaders and committee members will be having an ample opportunity to work on the appropriation act. So, gentlemen of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I move that this House do adjourn accordingly. Thank you. I've said it. To the 24th day of November 2020. Tuesday by 11 o'clock. 1 month. Yeah.
Thank you, leader. And I think he has given the trust as to why we're adjourning to 24th. Yeah. Okay. Leader, my attention has not been brought so that we adopt the votes and procedure of today before the adjournment. Can you move for the adoption of the votes and procedure of today?
Okay, sir. Sir, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, while I reverse the earlier move, I will now take that this House do adopt the votes and proceedings of today so that we can be guided as usual. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move that these votes and proceedings be adopted. Thank you.
My leader from Akwa Ibom.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Onofio Luke Etinan, Nsribom Srubium, Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the leader and by you, the most powerful person around, sir.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. That's have it. Leader, you can now move your motion for the adjournment of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. I rise once again to move that this House do appropriately adjourn to the 24th, Tuesday 24th of November 2020 for the explanation I've earlier given, sir, and which you have also consolidated. I wish members happy engagement on the Appropriation Act 2021. Thank you.
Honorable Jaha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Honorable Ahmed Jaha Babao is my name. I represent Chibok Dambo Goza Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable Leader of the House for the adjournment of our sitting to 24th day of November 2020. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. That's it. House is hereby stand adjourned to Tuesday, 24 November 2020. Plenary, only thank you.